going through the galaxy and you find these creatures, like randomly generated NPC creatures. Sometimes they'll have little smiley face vehicles. And then there's the banana creatures. I think I can actually show you the banana creatures. Yep. They actually have their own adventure and lore. Of course these have lore. Of course the banana creatures have lore. They went to war against the monkey creatures. It was just like a bunch of anthro monkeys. And then you have to save the banana princess from the monkeys. And it's great. It's great. There's also pears. But not that kind of pear. It's called the anticipaste. I like how I know what they're called, but anyway. This is an anticipaste, but it's a pear, as you can see. It has spider legs. There's a bean. These are all creatures that are quote-unquote canonical. Like, there's a set of creatures called Maxis creatures that are in everybody's game because they're made by the developers Maxis. So everybody knows about them. Here's the bean. I like the bean. It's just a bean. This is really zoomed in for some reason. My goodness. You don't need to see it that close. I know it's very shiny, but there you go. This is peak. See, it's a bean. You'd be like, okay, I get why it's called the bean. I don't know why there's so many food ones. But it's true. They exist in the game, in everyone's games, actually. Everyone is very lucky. Because they get to enjoy bean and anticipaste. And the bananas are just called bananas. So that's not very exciting. That one's pretty predictable. I have no idea what anticipaste means. Maybe it's a pun that I'm unaware of, but I have no idea. Maybe it's the scientific name for pear. I don't know. Is that a thing? Scientific name for a pear? Maybe? I'm looking it up. No, I have no idea. It's just a random word. Has nothing to do with pears. Just happens to be a pear. With spider feet. Amazing. Sometimes people will make stuff that is just like a single block. Like if they made a building, it's just one block. And people get mad about those too. One time I had the stairs. I was like going through my game. And there was one of the NPCs had used someone who just made stairs. Or a floor. Or a ceiling. A lot of people make this stuff because they make adventures, which are like storytelling mini-game thing. They're like missions. How do I explain this? Adventures are like, you can make mini-games that other players can play, and you like place creatures down and make them do things. And you can place buildings down. And then people play them in first person with their creations. I don't know. I'm sure this does make sense. See, it's like a play. They kind of structure it like a play, which is funny. But you have like objectives, and then you have these little guys, like you place this guy down and you say, talk to this guy as the objective and he'll say this. And then when you're actually playing it, you walk up to this guy and you click on him and he'll say something. And there's buildings over there. I think this is a Maxis adventure. Is this Mothership Down? It is Mothership Down. I didn't even read that. That's funny. I recognized it just by the screenshot. So that one was made by the developers, but that's what everyone's looks like. But you can do anything with it. There's like the maze. This one's another. This is the quest for the golden llama. This one I don't think I've seen before. I think this is a player-made one. But you can do anything. This is what it looks like when you make it. Here we go. This is way easier to see. This is the best DLC that any game has had ever. Oh, way too big. Okay. So you have your palette of like, this is a building, this is a building. This one's for creatures, this one's for vehicles, this one's for buildings, that's for game items, music, SFX, and static objects. Static objects are developer-made 3D models, like rocks, some trees. There's like ancient debris and bones and fruit and meat. Some of them you can pick up, some of them you can't pick up, but they don't really tell you, you just kind of have to guess. Like there's weapons that you can pick up. Game objects is keys, gates, bombs, grenades, stuff that you can interact with that'll do things. So you can place a gate down, it can be a green gate, and then the player has to find a green key to unlock the gate. Or you can do landmines and make them invisible and the people will die. There's buildings, self-explanatory. Those are player-made buildings you can download from other people or just make them. Same with creatures and vehicles. And then once you're done making all your stuff, you place them in here. This is your objectives. You would make objectives. And then it's a fully playable minigame. And it's the best DLC ever. I love it. It's very fun. You have a captain, which is your main spore creature. It's like an RPG. And you level them up by doing a bunch of adventures, and you get different super weapons. So you can like equip a gun, or you can equip something that makes you sing really well, or armor that protects you so you don't explode. And some of the adventures are really, really, really hard because they're made by players, and players love to make really hard adventures. But some of them are just like a nice walk through the park. Like some of the Maxis ones are just like, can you go gather the band members so they could go sing, and then you get to watch them sing at the end. Or there's a Romeo and Juliet themed one where you had to stop a war by bringing the Romeo and Juliet spore creatures back to their parents. It's funny. I love it. The possibilities are endless. That's the whole point of this game. You're supposed to create whatever you want. And they did a really good job, I think. Letting people do whatever the heck they wanted to do. I don't know. At a first glance, a lot of people don't like it. The game doesn't have a story because you make your own story. And a lot of people are like, they don't really want to do that, which is fine. It's kind of like Minecraft. You have to bring your own. Like there's some lore points that you can kind of pick out. Like there's the Groks, which are the big bad guys, and Spore, whatever. My fan turned on. And they're always there. So they're like that's the villain of the game. So that's kind of lore. The game has a villain. And there's like artifacts that you can find, and there is canonical lore about humans in the Spore universe, and they went extinct due to global warming or whatever. That's an actual thing. But for the most part, you just make up your own story. That's the whole point. Make up your own story, you make up your own creatures, you make up your own buildings. But that's why I like it too. I think I learned about new lore where it's canonical that every Spore universe is a multiverse. So like every person's game is canon, but it's a multiverse. And that's why the creatures can pop into your game, or your creatures can go into someone else's game, etc., etc. I think I like it better like this. Phew. But the humans thing is really interesting to me because they tell you to go to Earth, so they knew about the humans because of the way that they talk about it, but then when you get there, there's nothing. So a lot of implied things. But it was confirmed that they died out because of global warming, which is sad, but guys, take care of the planet. Spore's telling you to take care of the planet back in 2008. Which actually brings me around to my other fact. This is a Spore fact stream now. The humans in Spore are actually Sims. And this is because the Sims and Spore are made by the same people. So yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's way more messed up now than back then, and they were still warning us. The humans in the games are Sims, and there's in-game evidence, and it makes me laugh, even though it's sad that they were their own demise. Specifically, well, I mean, a lot of people put it after the Sims timeline because obviously there's no humans or Sims in the game. There's artifacts though. So I guess it's after every single Sims game, but because it was made in 2008, it's more like The Sims 1 and 2. Because Spore was made directly after The Sims 2 came out, I think? I don't remember if they made like a Sim City. I don't know. I don't know much about Sims games. It's like, yeah, The Sims is the Spore sibling, and I love Spore, and I know a lot about Spore, but I don't know really a lot about The Sims. And I tried to get into it, and it's cool, and I really like the fandom, because the fandom amuses me in a good way. They amuse me in a good way. I just find them so wholesome. Like, they're just hanging out, holding on to dear life because their freaking expansion packs are broken as hell. I'm not defending EA. Sorry. I don't really have an opinion, but I can say that. The wedding pack was a disaster. But anyways, it's not about that. It's about the fact that Sims are canon to the Spore universe, and it's funny. In one of the Sim cities, one of the disasters you can spawn in is a giant spore creature that squashes your cities or whatever. which is also another piece of evidence, which kind of implies that spore creatures were in the same universe as the Sims while they were still alive, which is kind of funny to me. So it's just like when you play Spore, you're just too late to meet them, but you could have met them. The silliest implications. I mean, what else do we even have? There's pickle planets. I mentioned that before. Well, yeah, there's the lore about the giant epics. There's giant creatures called epics. They're just really big. They can squash you or shoot fireballs. It's just like a scary thing to avoid when you're playing. But you can find even bigger skeletons when you're walking around your planet sometimes. That suggested that there were way bigger creatures that used to walk around, but then they died. This is because they got too big for the atmosphere. A lot of people think. They suffocated in the atmosphere because it shrunk. And they were like, dang, I don't have an oxygen tank up here. And then they died. There's not really any in-game evidence to that, but there is in-game evidence that they were there, so I don't know, I guess just use your best guess. They probably just got too big for the ecosystem. But it's cool to have ambient bones that you can crawl into. There's like eyeball trees, which are interesting. If you want Spore lore, it's best to look into the spin-offs. Spore Creatures DS has the best story, obviously. Shout out to Garskuther. I freaking love Garskuther. Everybody who's my friend knows that I love Garskuther. And that game has good lore. Even better lore than the PC version, I think. There's more to it. It's not just you get some little snack bits and then you have to make it up yourself. The whole game, all the creatures in that game have lore too, but not in the PC one. There's way too many, I guess. But then I learned that Spore Creatures and Spore, like for the PC, were created at the same time, and they released at the same time, which is so weird. Because why would they release a DS spin-off of a game that's coming out already, like at the same time that it comes out? But I do know that Spore was delayed, so maybe that's why. I don't know. It's funny. Literally. Yeah, vibes for reals. There's something about so wait, so that means that I wish that Spore Creatures DS was canon to the other. I'm just gonna get rid of that person. Anyways. I kind of wonder if Spore Creatures is in the same universe, because that would be funny. Garskuther Spore in PC Spore. He wouldn't survive a day in PC Spore. Spore Creatures is like wholesome, squishy. This dude is trying to ruin